So in this session, we'll see how I can integrate Salesforce with another third-party system. Let's consider that as a Verifone. So I'll tell why do I need this integration and how am I going to do it. And as a prerequisite, what are the setups I need in my Verifone system. So if I want to understand what is Verifone and why do I need, let me go and show you what is the Verifone system. If you see the Verifone, okay. So if you see, this is a system or this is application where we can validate our phone number. Just think, you have a account. In the account, you have a account phone number field. So let's see in the Salesforce, I have a account phone number field. So the phone number what being entered is valid phone number or not, we want to verify that. So that to this phone number, we may send the SMS or all the transaction SMS for this account, or we need to check this phone number is a valid one or not. If some phone number entered wrongly, then we can see before trying to communicate this phone number is invalid. So this check we can do in one third-party application which we call Verifone. So whenever I say I have some kind of integration to do, that means I have two systems, and between these two systems I am going to connect now. So the phone number I will pass to Verifone, then Verifone will check that number is valid or not, then I will get the response. That response I can update in my system or in my Salesforce. So to do that, what I do, I have to see first what is Verifone system and what kind of integration we are having so that we can use it. So to see that, if you go to Verifone, so this is a Verifone.io. This is a site. So here it says phone number validation and carrier lookup. Okay. So you can see like if for example, if I try to enter my number, let me see if I just enter, and then we can see it's a valid number in this country, who is my carrier, everything you can see here, my country code, which region. Let's by mistake, if I just made a wrong digit in my number, if I try to validate, if you see here, let me check it out. Let me click go. Okay, this is also some number we have. Let's see, instead of 50, I'm just saying 336, one number. If I click go, see, this number is not valid. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, whenever I'm just having any phone number in my system, we can validate that number is valid or not. To do that, we have some kind of integration here. If you click on these docs, you can see the API document here given by Verifone. So now what it says, this Verifone use a REST-based JSON API where you get stateless endpoints which we can invoke, and as a response we'll get JSON response. So now what happened? These are like, you can go through this document when error comes in the API call, what type of status we'll get, like 400, if any parameter we miss. If my key is wrong, then I'll get unauthorized status. So same way, if you do verify, and whenever I'm going to get the success response, so you'll get like JSON response like status, phone is valid or not, what type of phone region. These are my response parameter, and I have to pass the request something like this. This is my API endpoint. Then you can see I'm making a call to verify my phone number as a request parameter, and this is the key. I can say the authentication key. I'll show you how am I going to get this authentication key, and in the end, I will get this JSON response. Okay. So now what we can do, we can open a account in my Verifone, and we can get the key, and that key we will use to make API call from Salesforce to Verifone. And this integration I'm going to do using Flow. For example, whenever I'm going to create an account, and the moment I have my account phone number, and when I click save, I'm going to write a auto launch flow, or you can say I'm going to write a trigger flow which will fire on my account insert or account update, then the API call will invoke to pass that phone number to Verifone. Then Verifone will give me the response, and that response I'll take and I'll update in my one of the field in account. For example, I'll create a new field, phone is valid or not. I can create that and I can just update that as a true or false. Okay, so that kind of thing I am going to do it. To do that, let's think I am going to start my first step one. So my step one is going to be opening a account in my Verifone. So where I will get my key. Okay, we saw the API document. Now I can go to my Verifone system. You can see there is something called sign up free. So once you click here, now you can give our sign in method, like you guys already sign in. Let me do a new sign in so that you can see. Let's say I want to sign in with email. So I'm just going to give one of the email address. I click next. I can set my password here. Then you can click save. So definitely it will send me one verification email. You can go to this verified email, which email address you have given, and there you can see there is one email came, verify your email for Verifone IO. Just click it. My email address will be verified now. Okay, let me click on continue. So now I have my verified Verifone account. Okay, now if you see in the setting, if you go to setting, in the setting you can see there is a API key. Now I'm in the free plan. If you want to change, you can click on the change. You can see the different plans they have, like per month how many phone numbers you can verify, like different plan and different price we have. But we have a free account. I'm going to use that free account now. Let me go to setting. You can see the API key. Okay, so I have received now as a step one my API key, one part. Okay, so now this API key I can use to make a call. So let's understand what type of call I need to do. So now if you go to my Verifone document, let me go to this Verifone, and if you see these docs, then you can see how I need to make a call. Whenever I want to make a verify call, I am going to make call something like this, and this is going to be my response. Okay, so as a step two, what I know, what I need to do, I want to write some logic in my Salesforce. So that Salesforce going to take my phone number and passing to my Verifone system to make API call to get the status of this phone number. It's valid or not. Okay. So how am I going to do that? It's quite easy. So like this, you can see many different type of applications we have. So out of that, I use Verifone. If you have any other applications, if you want to use, you can follow the documentation and you can do this. Okay. So now in the step two, what I do, I will go to my Salesforce, which I have logged in already. Okay. So here, right now I'm just opening my developer console to write my logic. Okay. So when I'm writing logic, before that, the account phone is valid or not. To capture that, I can create one field. As I was saying, when the phone number is valid, I'll update in one of the field in my account. So I am just going to my account object now. In account object, I'm going to create a new field. Let's consider the field name. Like say you can give any name as you like. For now, I'm going to give a name which like I can say my phone number is valid or not, or I can say any name you can give. Okay. So whatever name you want, you can simply define that. Okay. And let's see, I can give the name as a checkbox. I can set as next. I can say phone valid. So by default, I set unchecked. Then I click on the next. So all default setup, I'm going to create this field. All next, I click and I click on the save. So I have a field in my account. Okay. Why I create this field? Because what response I'm going to get for the account phone number that I want to capture here. So now let's go to my developer console to create a class where I will make a API call. Then next we will see how this class I am going to invoke from the flow. Quite easy steps, a very small piece of code I'm going to write, not any complexity we have here. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new class, simply file new Apex class. Let's I give the class name as phone verification API. Okay, this is my class what I have. So now always remember, whenever I'm going to make any API call, I'm going to get some kind of response. If you see this API document, my response going to come this way for each one number. So to do that, what I'll do, I can, for when the response coming this JSON, I have to parse this in my Apex class. So simply what I can do, I can create a response class like this. So every request what you send, you will get a response. And for response, what I do, inside this class, I'm going to create a new class, like you can say wrapper class, which is going to contain my response. Simply I can say it's my phone response. Okay, so what are the parameters I have? I have a JSON parameter status. Let's simply I can say this as a public string status. Same way I want to get one more status like the phone. It's also a string type, you can see it's in the double quote. So simply I'm defining as public string phone, or you can see one more as phone is valid or not. It's a boolean true false. Simply I can set public boolean phone valid, and one more parameter I can take as phone type. Here I'm defining as public, and phone type, if you see, it's a string. So public string phone type, and next parameter going to be phone region. Simply we can define public string phone region. It's a small JSON, so I'm not using the JSON to Apex hero co-op, which I have shown you previous session. But if you want, you can use that. So a small class, so simply I'm writing here public string country, and same way I can take my public country code, public string country code. Next parameter my country prefix. Simply I can define here public string country prefix, and here I have my number, also comes as a response, public string international number, public string local number. Like whenever somebody calling to India from outside of the India, then that's international number will start with country code +91, and locally I can simply set 0 and make call also. So that also formatting defines here. And I have a E164 public string E164, and I have one more which carrier. It's a Airtel or it's a Reliance, what type of carrier it is, that depends here. Let's public string carrier. This is my response class coming. So now when this response come, that means I have to make a API call to get this. So now for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a class. Let's see, I'm going to create a method which will make the API call. Let's say I'm defining a public static. Let's see, I'll say like method name as invoke Verifone API. So that you'll understand, in this invoke method, I'm going to call this Verifone API. Okay. So what I'm going to pass? I am going to pass my mobile number. Simply I can say string mobile number as input. Okay. So now when I'm making this call, I'm going to get some response. For now, I'm writing void, but we'll see what response I'm going to define here. Okay. So now whenever I want to make API call, so what is my first thing? I have to know where my server is. So what it means? So now if you see, I'm going to make call from Salesforce to Verifone. So where this Verifone application resides, the endpoint or URL you can say, or endpoint. So that I have to find out what is my endpoint. Okay. So now if you see, the endpoint, you can see here request endpoint what I have. So now that I have to define. For endpoint, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one property, or you can say variable. Simply I can say public string. So I can say Verifone endpoint equal to. So what is my endpoint going to be? And one more thing, I have API key also. This is one parameter I need, and one more parameter I have, like public string API key. And API key, if you see in my Verifone system, I have my API key. If you go to setting, you can see my API key. I can copy this API key and I can use in my place. One thing. And then what my endpoint? My endpoint going to be what is my mobile number and what is my, like completely I can see the endpoint in the document here. This is the request I have to send to here. My phone number as one parameter and then key as a parameter. These things I need to do it. So I can define my endpoint going to be this much complete endpoint what I'm going to set here. So can I define it something like this? Let me take this tool down. So instead of making multiple places, I am just writing in a single line. So this is going to be my endpoint. Okay, the sample endpoint what I have seen in the system. So instead of this phone number, I have to pass the phone number which I have in my parameter. Can I concatenate this phone number here, what I have in my mobile number? Simply. Okay, so that's going to be my mobile number. So now this is one string here. I see nothing but a string type. I'm going to concatenate my mobile number what we have, and the key what I have, I want to use this as API key. Instead of hard coding writing here, I'm simply writing this is going to be my API key. Okay, so this is my complete endpoint what I have defined here. I understand what is my API key. I understand what is my endpoint. Okay, now like this you can do, or like if you want, you can do the string concatenate by defining only this much as my endpoint. Then you can concatenate my parameters also. So as I know, I'm going to set only one mobile number, everything I have written in the endpoint variable right now. Okay, so now what I need to do then? Now I have to see how I need to make a integration call. So I know my endpoint, then I have to instantiate my HTTP class. Okay, then I have to set my HTTP request, then I have to get my HTTP response. So whenever you make any API call, a REST-based API call, as it said, it's a REST-based JSON API call. So I have to use my HTTP instance, passing my HTTP request and getting my HTTP response. And this is a get method. So now what I can do here? I'm going to create an instance of HTTP class. Simply I can say new HTTP here. Okay, so now over this HTTP instance, what I need to pass a request. So for request, I am going to create a request instance. Simply I can say HTTP request. Let's see, I can say REQ equal to new HTTP request. Okay, and let's request I can set what is my endpoint, to which endpoint I want to call. Simply you can say set endpoint, and my endpoint you can say I have set as verify endpoint. And what is the endpoint call? I want to make this as set method. This is going to be my get method. Simply you can specify it's a get method. And if I want to set some timeout, that also I can set. I'm going to set timeout For example, it's integer value. I'm going to set this timeout. Okay, so once this happen, then I'll make a call to my HTTP method to send this request. When I send the request, I'll get the response. The response I'm going to capture in my HTTP response. Let's see, I can say res equal to, I have to send this request over the HTTP. So I can simply say h dot send. You can send the request. My request going to be req instance what I have created. That going to give me the response. Okay. When I am giving this response, what is going to happen? So now I will just return this response wherever I have. Okay. So this response is going to come in a JSON format, like you see this format of response I'm going to get. For example, you can see the response will come something like this. Okay. So now what I'll do, the response what I have, I can just parse to my Apex type and I can send it back to the calling method. So simply I want to return the complete response in my Apex type. So I am going to create a new instance of my response class what I have created. Okay. Then I can parse it. What I'll parse? I'm going to parse my response. What is my response? In the response, nothing but array is what is the body, response body came, that I'm going to parse it and I'm going to return it. This much logic I have written it. Let me save it and let's see if I have any problem statements here. Okay, public not allowed. Okay, I don't want to define public. That's we can ignore it. And let me see it. Phone verification API phone response. Okay, I want to make a get body. So okay, here saying method does not. Okay, here you see this method what we have. I'm saying I'm returning nothing, void. But now I'm returning a phone response instance. So simply I can say it's a phone response instance. Okay, this is one part. Okay, so now what more thing we're going to do here? So now I have my response body here. Okay, my response in the res. So when I say I want to make a parsing, JSON parsing, as I have explained in my previous session, okay, like in my Bitly integration or other integrations, what we have. So when I want to parse it, so we can use my JSON instances. Okay, we'll see how am I going to parse that. Okay, it's normal standard functions we can use to parse my JSON response in Apex. Okay, it's quite easy thing. Okay, so now if you see, I want to return a phone response. Okay, so what I want to return a instance of my phone response. Simply I can say here I'm going to return my instance. So instance of what? Response instance to return. I'm just making a little bit easy for you to write. A response instance to return to calling class. So in response, what I'm going to get? I'm going to get response from the simply I can say I'm going to get the complete response from the phone verifications API, which is nothing but verify phone, and that verify phone going to give me the complete structure how that can be parsed. Okay, so this response body, if you see the response what I have, I'm going to get in the response body. If you see my response body going to JSON, if I see my JSON Apex here, if you don't remember, you can go always in the JSON Apex. So if you see here in JSON class, how am I going to parse that JSON to my Apex type? Okay, that's the quite part which we are going to do it. Okay, simply I can say this have one method. You can see here the method something like you can say deserialize. Deserialize specified JSON string into a Apex object. Okay, so what Apex type I want to parse it? that completely we can do from here. Okay, we can pass my JSON input string and we can do that. Okay, deserialize. Here if you deserialize, you can say deserialize JSON string and going to be in which type. So that kind of thing we are going to do here. Okay, so simply I can say I'm going to use this deserialize instance, or you can say deserialize method of my JSON type. Okay, so what I do here, simply I can write my phone response as a, let's p response, going to be new phone response instance. Okay, so what I, or if you don't want instance like this directly, you can instantiate as my JSON deserialize part. Can I simply write JSON dot deserialize? Okay, so it says what is your JSON string and to which type you want to parse it. That's going to return a object. So what is my JSON string? My JSON string going to be the response what I'm getting, the body of it, and to what type I want to parse. I want to parse to my phone response type. Can I simply write phone response dot class? Okay, so this is one small part of line we have written here. Okay, let me save it. Now let me put a return statement here to return my phone response. Now I have, when I deserialize it, it's deserialized to object type, and I want to change to my phone response type. So I can just simply do the typecast here, or simply I can say my phone response. This is my return. Let me save this class, and I'll show you what happening. You can see now my class got saved. Simply we use deserialize method to parse the response. Okay, so now let me invoke this API from anonymous window. Then we'll see what more we can do. So here I'm going to call the method invoke phone API, and I'm going to pass one mobile number. Let's consider +97156283660 my number. So this is going to give me phone response as a return type. Okay. Can I simply say it phone verification API dot phone response? Let's be equal to this. Let me maximize it a little bit so that we can see what code we have written here. And I'm going to do a debug statement simply here to understand what happened. Response is. So now I'm going to print this p. So till now the endpoint what we have, we didn't add in any remote site setting, but still let me execute. Let me see what error coming. So it says the endpoint what we have to define in my remote site setting. So let's go to the Salesforce and go to my setup. Here you just search remote site setting under security, and here click on new remote site. Just URL, simply I can say it's a Verifone. Let me click on the save. Okay, this is my actual endpoint what we have. Now let me make a call again. We made a call. Now we'll see what kind of responses we're going to get. Let me see my debug statement. So this is the debug statement what we have. This is the response what we have received now. Okay, my phone response. So if I open this here for you to understand, you can see I got two parameters like what is my carrier, what is my country, what is my country code, what is my country prefix, and E164, my international number format, my local number format, what is my phone number exactly I entered, my phone region in United Arab Emirates, my phone type, and my phone is valid or not. This is my primary thing. Okay, then you can see status. So we are able to make the API call successfully. But if you see right now, if I just give a wrong number, if I go to debug, open execute animation window, and instead of 5, if I write 3, I click execute, what is going to happen? So if you see, I'll get the response like, let me go to debug, and if you see here, my response giving me phone is not valid. So we saw how we made a small piece of code which makes me to make a API call from Salesforce to validate my number. So once I get the response, then I will show you how am I going to use my flow builder flow to initiate this from the account creation or updation, and that API call will make the call and update the new field what we have created. Thank you. Stay tuned for next session.